People shouldn't complain about privacy while they at the same time share everything about their life on social media. I had a discussion with a coworker today. We talked about surveillance. I thought that London and places in Japan did the right thing by installing a bunch of cameras around the cities. It has prevented and solved a lot of crimes. He didn't agree. He said that he wanted his privacy. He went on and on about the huge privacy issues we have today. Like how the government scans and reads our emails and yada yada. I simply asked him, if privacy is so important to you, how come you share everything about your life on social media? You upload photos of yourself, your kids and your wife. You have your house and address online. You share your work and expensive stuff you own. How come you're so concerned about privacy when you're giving 100% away every day? He didn't have an answer for that at all. I get that you want privacy regarding money, bank information, and other personal stuff. But it would help a lot of you stayed off social media. You really can't compare choosing to share what you want and the government having access to everything personal without you having a say. Is it okay for someone to raid your closet every day just because you let them borrow a shirt one time? If you're okay with sharing one shirt, you should be okay with sharing everything, right? Not the best analogy, but I'm sure you can see what I'm getting at. Just because I invite to my house/life doesn't mean you have to rummage through my shit. Just saying. I don't have accounts on any typical social media. I'm only on Reddit, and don't post much content. Can I complain about privacy? You don't need social media for the government to exploit your privacy. They are exploiting everyone's privacy by monitoring everything from traffic cams, cell phones. I get your point, but there is a difference between willingly giving out information about yourself, and choosing what info that is, and just having all your info hijacked without even knowing it, and logged without consent. I think it's fair to want and expect that information about our behavior and personality should be ours to sell or forfeit by direct negotiation. There weren't prepared laws about this because it was difficult to collect meaningful data on such a massive scale until the rise of social media. Social media is a great way to share less notable moments in our life with friends and family, but we don't want that being used to build psychological and life profiles to such a detailed degree that it's classified as a psychological warfare level of technology, to be used against us the way it already has been to influence elections and uprisings around the world, never mind just a little bit of advertising. Well, there are different kinds of privacy. Some people don't mind sharing photos of their family, friends, outings, and so on. That doesn't mean they're okay with their private browsing history being sold off to advertisers. So it's perfectly fair to be concerned about privacy while still sharing a large amount on social media. See, the thing is, he choose to post this stuff, the government doesn't let you choose. What the fuck? The key factor here is consent. My take is, if you're in a public space, you are entirely open to be surveyed. This does not extend to searching your pockets or your body, but I don't see any problem with having cameras recording what is happening in public spaces like downtown, in government buildings, and in public parks. When you enter private space that is not your own, the private person has the right to record you and store that recording for a reasonable amount of time, so long as that recording does not include your nudity. No cameras in bathrooms, without your consent. When you are in private space that is your own, you should have every expectation of privacy. That means no cameras, microphones, or other recording devices in the house, car, or other personally owned spaces. There is a difference between willingly sharing information about yourself and your privacy being invaded, though. FYI, they know more about you than you know about yourself. But everything is okay. https://I. Read. It/x1 yob fight 3 wj31. PNG. I thought that London and places in Japan did the right thing by installing a bunch of cameras around the cities. It has prevented and solved a lot of crimes. CCTV or surveillance cameras by themselves do little to actually prevent crime. They definitely do a lot to solve crimes. I believe something like 90% of murders in the UK use CCTV as evidence to convict, but the cameras by themselves don't do a whole lot to deter violent crime. People want their own privacy but yet constantly post pictures of their children on social media. What about their privacy? Or if they have a say at all about pictures of them being posted on the internet? Forget the cameras disrupting your privacy. Do people realize how easy it would be for someone to kidnap your child when you constantly post pictures of your house, your kid, all while tagging your exact location while doing it? It's ridiculous. I always like to say, good luck to kids today when they want to date in 20 years and you can Google someone's name and find their entire childhood worth of pictures posted all over the internet. I'm pursuing a PhD in a liberal arts discipline, a discipline where we learn how every facet of social media is out to either exploit you for a profit, farm your data, put you into unhealthy feedback loops, constant comparison with others, never content, and how everyone's image on social media is simply put a highly curated version of their lives and not their real lives. Out of the 15 or so colleagues I have, there are a grand total of 2 of us who don't use social media, the rest are fiends. I don't get it. I've never really used social media, but man, how can you stare down all the information on why social media is bad and still use it? Disagree. Does that mean I shouldn't ever go outside either cause I'm always on camera? It's my choice what I share on social media. How far shall this go? Should we put cameras in bathroom stalls? Consent is key here. Personally, I don't have any social media that can be traced back to me IRL. This Reddit account is pretty much it, and I have huge issues with things like the Patriot Act. I have no problem letting someone live and die by what they post to their accounts, because they made the call for it to be known to the world. The government has every right to learn that stuff. However, they have no right to access any info someone did not choose to share. The best analogy I can think of is this: if a person constantly sleeps around, that's their choice, and even if they were to sleep with anyone who will say yes, you have no right to say, well, you sleep with everyone else, therefore you shouldn't refuse me. Fuck you, get a warrant. There is a line between willingness and unwillingness. The fact that people share part of their privacy online doesn't mean that their other part of privacy can be exploited without consent. That's quite the false equivalence. How about his choice about what is private? When one posts on Facebook, they choose what they're making public or private. Somebody deciding what information about their life is private is materially different from the government doing so. This is one of the times when someone takes 2 completely different opinions and makes it seem like it's one singular opinion. I've never heard of a single person complain about privacy and then post a lit on social media. I complain about privacy and I keep all my accounts private. I want to brag to my friends about how exciting my life is, but I also want to be totally anonymous. There is no privacy in this day and age anymore as soon as you succumb to the social pressure of possessing a smartphone and shit like Facebook or WhatsApp. Oh, and everyone using Chrome. Uncle Google knows about all the scat porn you watch. Those huge cities using CCTV is just a cherry on top. It is what it is. The "you have nothing to fear if you have nothing to hide" defense is an awful one. It's a slippery slope, and besides, most people don't share much besides pictures of their face and pets on social media. I'm fine with the government knowing I love my cat. I'm not fine with them watching me and my every action without my permission. You choose what you post to social media. You don't choose when cameras see you or what cameras see about you. You don't choose what is seen on your browser by government agencies or private companies. Seems very unpopular, but I totally agree with you. The government can only put in cameras at public places, but you are letting Google, Facebook, and everyone else into your halfway private life. If Google wanted to, they could almost make an exact copy of you by using their analytics. I think if you use social media and leave everything on public access, that's a blatant agreement that you don't need or want any privacy. However, if you use FB with a pseudonym or restrict your posts to friends only, you're opting for a certain expectation of privacy. I have an IT job. I know that that's not really true and the government can see everything you do right now anyway, but I argue that your reasoning only seems to apply to those people who post everything willingly for the entire world to see. Putting cameras everywhere in a public space is probably not a bad thing, You have no perceived privacy when you're outdoors anyway, just keep the drug exchanges in your own home and close the curtains. This is so popular there is a South Park episode of it. On social media we choose what we want to show, we want to have a choice. Ops logic is faulty, but this is how I see it. People like to complain about privacy and data while posting shit on FB and IG. These are free platforms and FB needs to make money, so of course their revenue stream is selling your unimportant data. Otherwise, how would they maintain these websites for you to use? If you don't want FB to have your data, then give up FB and IG. Oh, and this is why I love Reddit. I agree. Security is a joke. It's about having the choice on what is known and not. Privacy isn't about people not knowing anything, but you deciding when people learn things about you or not. Surveillance tools are only as positive as the people using them. The problem is, once they are implemented they are never removed. So, have a government you know and trust? Great, let's get some crime-fighting tools for them. Things change a bit, more extreme government in power? Oh crap, now the same tools are being used to single out, well, anyone they don't like. Maybe it's not your government that changes, maybe it's just that someone hacks in and uses the system nefariously. Point being, it's not about how they're going to be used now, or when they're installed. It's about how they could be used. Can you predict every government and oddball situation that's going to happen in the future? Case in point, 9/11. Prior to it, no American could envision the government having the powers it has. One single event, triggered externally, and no proof massive changes.